What's up, y'all? Shuffle. In today's video is talking about Darkest Dungeon 2 and the paths that each character gets. I've had people ask me in the past because they may not have played Darkest Dungeon 2 or watched it. So what a path is it's a set of bonuses that are specific to the hero to emphasize playing a specific way, which sounds a bit abstract even though I use the word specific, but what it means is, like, for instance, Ritualist Occultist gives him some buffing for heals, and I think it augments his curse abilities. And then Warlock gives him like lower HP, I believe, and then plus range damage, for instance. We'll look at all of them, so don't worry. That's why I have all the tabs open, but that's just the basis, right? So this video is going to be me talking about the ones I like, but also which ones I think are best, which isn't usually the same thing. And then, or sometimes it's not the same thing. And then I took all these polls from YouTube, so thank you to everyone that voted in them. We had over 1,000 votes for most of them, which is pretty awesome. At least I hope so. Because I know this first one says like 800 and there's a couple that are 1,000, so we'll see what happens, but that's what we're doing. And so we'll see what y'all said too, and then we'll talk about it. And that's it for, I guess, the intro. Once I opened this up, I realized this video is going to be a bit longer than I anticipated, but just to recap these real quick: Warlock, you get minus HP, bonus range skill damage, and then a chance to give yourself unchecked power at the start. And so this, you might think, is a Burning Stars build, and you can do it that way, but it's actually not. This is much better to spam Abyssal Artillery with, aka Roof Spaghetti. So I think if you're going Warlock, it's better to just spam Roof Noodles than do anything else. Ritualist, I like this one more. I think they're both pretty good in terms, just overall in terms of power level, they're both good. I think Ritualist is slightly stronger, but besides that, Sack Stab getting 100% bonus damage. This doesn't apply to Binding Shadows, which kind of sucks. But Sacrificial Stab with Mastery goes from like 8 to 16 damage from rank 3 to rank 3 reach, which is nuts. That's better than Chop on Occultist, who can do other things. Pretty good. The rest of the stuff doesn't matter too much. Like, it's all nice to have. So the bonus healing's cool. The chance to get tokens on curse skills, that doesn't come up too often, specifically because you're just stabbing. Like, who needs to use vulnerability hex when you can stab? So I think Ritualist is the better of the two. The Vuln on turn start kind of sucks, but you can work around that. So we'll read the top few comments of each one instead of just digging through them. So whoever gets featured is at the mercy of the YouTube algorithm. Hopefully they're nicer comments. But so Warlock is just kind of more damage. Ritualist can do pretty good damage, 2 with stab, and can use power tokens to heal or for the reach. Yeah, honestly, both are just really good and probably overtuned. They might be, honestly. I think Warlock could probably be like 20% damage or 25. Maybe, no, because they're bouncing it around 50. But artillery hits super hard, and it hits 2 things, and it can stun with upgrade, which is insane. And then Sack Stab, like, that just needs to be 50%. If they're going to do it the way it is, it just needs to be 50. 100, like, double damage is too much. I personally prefer Warlock. Ritualist is really nice, but I simply don't find myself clicking curses often enough to, or after unlocking all the Occultist skills. True, right? So this is what I was talking about. You don't need to curse with Occultist with Ritualist. You just stab. Really good. So Warlock can chain Burning Stars. This doesn't happen too often in my experience. I'm not saying this didn't happen for this person, but when I was playing it, I did not really ever notice this. So it's cool if you get that. I think that's like the intended playstyle, is that you like get your free power tokens, stars, Chaotic Offering, free power tokens, you know, just spam stars every turn. I think that's what they're going for. But that's not how it played out for me. Anyway, love Ritualist just because of 100% damage on Sack Stab. Really, that's all you need. Right? This is what I was saying. This is all you need. You don't need any of the other stuff, you just stab. Warlock's damage is huge, but basically he's relegated to doing just that. And it feels very bad getting blind, weak, and shuffled from Chaotic Offering. True. I forgot Chaotic Offering can move you. It can also stun you. And getting blinded or whatever, or weakened from all the enemies can be pretty draining, especially if you're going to go Burning Stars. So it's like you charge up 1 or 2 turns. Your turn for damage comes up. The Fanatic Shaman goes before you. Can he blind you in rank 1? I digress. A unit that can blind you, then blind you. And then you don't get to do damage. It sucks. And then your power tokens start stacking up, and you start floating them. Not cool. But anyway, I don't think people realize how strong Ritualist Master with a couple of good trinkets is. You literally nuke any enemy with stab on turn 1 and have 2 tokens for the next turn. Yes. So with the really good crit rate on Sack Stab, being able to just open the fight with, like, no joke, critting for 24. That kills most enemies that don't have HP modifiers or block or something like that. That's good. That's like the reason people use Grave Robber and DD1 was to gank a target on rank 1 or turn 1. So occultists can do that now. So yeah, you don't even need, because stab does more damage than stars by that point. It does. 8 to 16 is like almost stars damage, except stars goes through block and gives combo. So very cool. Gotta scroll all the way back down. So let's see. I think next is Leper. So good job, YouTube audience. I'm gonna take a sip of this water. Delicious filtered water. Between these two, I like Tempest way more than Poet. I actually hate Poet. So I had a couple times I was running Poet for either trying to like get footage or when I was streaming it and stuff. And when I ran it, hitting 4 damage on Chop after spending a turn using Reflection to cure blind or something like that is such a terrible, awful, horrible feeling. And it's like, well, Chef, Poet is just an unkillable tank. And it's like, well, Solemnity is already strong enough, in my opinion. Do you need Solemnity to heal like 200% of your life and like overheal you at that point? Not really. I don't think so. And I think it's stun resist. Let's take a look actually, before I just ramble on. So yeah, double healing skills does not apply to stress heals. Big sad. Move resist, your teammates can get moved around you, so this isn't as good as it looks. And then stun resist, this is nice. This is like the best part about it. Being stun immune, very good, very helpful. Tempest, this is the damage path, so you get bonus 50% damage on chop skills, so that's just chop. It's not Hue, sadly, it's just chop. Then you get debuff res, which is really good. This helps Leper, let's say Lester. This helps Leper resist his own blind, which is fantastic. And then disease immunity, thank you. Diseases suck, they're very common. Some of them are incredibly devastating and they don't matter anymore. Minus HP, this normally hurts on pretty much every character, but Leper has the highest base, I think, in the game. It might be Hammer Man at Arms, pretty sure it's Leper. But you still have like 38 HP after this, which is more than most characters have baseline. So you're still okay. And he has an amazing self-heal that has no penalty for using Tempest. So that's really good. The minus speed actually does kind of suck. Leper's already a slow character, but going guaranteed last every single round does give the enemy time to set up either defenses or blind you or weak you. Although you have a chance to resist those, but that's usually what ends up happening. So if you can get the damage out, Tempest does a ton of damage. Let's see what people are saying. So I like Tempest more than Poet. I really just hate Poet. I will not pick Poet again. I played it like 4 times at this point. I don't like it. I'm not saying you can't like it. I don't like it. All right, let's do the first couple here. So there's no contest. All right, not too big of a comment, thankfully. But there's no contest. Tempest is the best Leper path. Honestly, the damage reduction on Poet is too much. True. It relegates Leper to a tank role, which is good, but he does crap damage. So the reason, this actually brings up a point too. The reason I don't like Poet is because Darkest Dungeon 2, a lot of it is damage racing. Like for the road fights and how you have to finish those in 5 turns, or the bosses where the longer they are alive, the more dangerous they get. Between those things and, you know, other factors that exist, worship on Deacon is another one. So because that kind of stuff exists, any penalty to damage is much less desirable, because if you kill enemies faster, you don't take damage anyway. So it's kind of like proactive healing. It's the same argument I would make in Darkest Dungeon 1. So that's the main reason I really think Poet's just not good. Again, not that it's not fun, not that it can't do good things, but in the current meta of the game, it doesn't do as well as Tempest. That's what I think. It's gonna need 2 other damage dealers to help him pick up the slack. I mean, yes. It's not that I disagree with this, it's that, at least the way I approach Darkest Dungeon, is that everyone should help on damage anyway. I think what this person means, and shout out to CWP, they show up in a lot of my comments and my streams and stuff, so you're awesome, dude. But I think what this is referring to specifically is someone like Highwayman or Grave Robber, right? Some like, or Hellion, I guess, some hyper carry damage dealer, not like a cultist with no path, for instance, like Wanderer or Cultist. It has to be someone like dedicated to dealing a lot of damage to pick this up. And in that case, I do agree. Therefore, if you run Poet Leper, don't run Man at Arms. If you have Bulwark, you can, but I understand the sentiment. So either that or run Ruin. Ruin's actually a good choice here. That's a good way around it. So that any damage he takes buffs his own damage. So whenever you decide to attack with him, he actually does damage. Ruin is pretty slow for most road fights, although you get the buff for the entire fight too, which is interesting for the most part, for like the meaningful part of the fight. But definitely better against bosses. So the best trinkets for this playstyle will be those that grant extra actions. That could be a way to, you know, chip in on some damage for sure. Otherwise, like flat melee damage is never bad, but Leper is pretty cool in how you can gear him up. Both are great. Poet can spam Intimidate and tank everything with Mega Solemnity, but Tempest can crit with 100 damage. True. So you can literally spam Intimidate and just shrug it off, which is nice. Intimidate's a good skill. Don't sleep on it. I'm gonna go against what most sane people would answer and say I like Poet Poet the most for being hilariously unkillable. I mean, you don't die. The rest of your team dies first, and then when you run out of Solemnity, you get like a meltdown and then die. That's usually what happens if you're going to die at all. But I agree, Poet is nearly unkillable. Let's see, who's next? It is Highwayman. Dismiss. You can tell the characters people like the most because they got the most votes. Except for Occultist, which was the first poll. Every time I do polls on all the characters, the one I start with usually gets the least interaction. So that's kind of par for the course. But Rogue and Sharpshot, these two are interesting because they're pretty close in terms of effectiveness, I feel like. Let's see what people are. Well, let's review these first, right? So Sharpshot, I can't even say it. Range damage up 50%, melee damage down 50%, 3 speed. I forgot it has speed, that's insane. Grape Shot, blast skills give strength tokens. So if you consecutively keep using Grape Shot, you have endless strength buffs, which is pretty cool. Rogue, bonus damage in rank 1, neutral damage in rank 2, so just no plus, no minus. And then if you're in rank 3 or 4, you have half damage, and if you use point blank shot, you get riposte. So this is really a riposte centered path, and it's pretty clear what you're supposed to be doing. It's either having something like Jester with Battle Ballad to push you into rank 1 over and over to keep using point blank shot, or it's point blank Duelist, or it's point blank and then someone else uses like a back move, for instance. And you're trying to stay in rank 1 as long as possible with riposte. I think that's the harder part of playing this. I haven't really talked about how hard it is to play the pass yet, because for these, you know, I said use artillery over stars, but for the most part, they're pretty straightforward. Same with these two with Leper. You're pretty much playing the same character. With Highwayman, they actually define 2 different play styles. So this is Sharp Shots for like the back rows, and usually rank 3 is probably better. You can put them in rank 4, but if you put them in 3, you can use melee skills sometimes if you need to, like damage over time, like Open Vein if you wanted to. But otherwise, and I think no, not Highway Robbery. You can't use that in 1. But I digress. This also applies to point blank, which is funny. So both of them buff it. But otherwise, you just stand there and shoot, and that's pretty easy to do. This, with Rogue, it's actually a bit tougher because you have to keep him in rank 1 as much as possible, and you have to have a plan to do it. So like I said, either hitting Battle Ballad to push him up or having someone move back to keep him there is really good. And sometimes you don't want to point blank when you're fighting. Sometimes you want to just stand up there and get your bonus damage and use like Wicked Slice or something. So that's what makes this class or this path a bit more difficult. But I think they're both pretty even in terms of power level. There's no HP cut, which is a big deal. They both have damage cuts for different reasons, which is something else. And if you wanted to give an edge to anything, it would be Sharp Shot, just because of the speed, and also the fact that we don't have many dedicated backline characters. Since we don't have a lot of dedicated backliners besides Plague Doctor, who specialize in being in rank 4, this kind of does that too, so you have more space on your team to put more frontliners. Let's see what people are saying. Starting to get tired, so we'll read like the first 3. I'm sorry. But anyway. Sharpshooter makes it easier to destroy the enemies on rank 2 to 4. So he's got my vote. Double tap. Also hits super hard. especially when it's upgraded. True, double tap is a range attack. Got Breacher and Sharpshooter a while back. Oh, because you could Breacher into the damage up and then point blank. So that's actually pretty cool. That would be really fun to play. Sharpshot Highwayman with Librarian Trinket that gives him 33% extra chance for a turn on killing things, change your life. What's up, Django? But yeah, that is that would be pretty good. So you can, open the fight, point blank, erase whatever's in rank 1, and then get a free turn, duelist back into there, something like that. My chair popped, but you get the idea. All right, pretty good. I like the 3 comments. I don't feel like I'm running out of air. All right, so we have, I believe, Plague Doctor. This was interesting. So we have Surgeon and Alchemist. There are a lot of numbers here, but basically, Alchemist is your HP goes down, your Blight chance goes up, you have more crit chance on Blight skills, and then all of your resists go up to compensate, except move resist, which is the worst resist anyway, so who cares? And then Surgeon, I forgot it had the HP bump. So yeah, double damage on melee skills. That is just Incision, I believe. And it's interesting they make it so it says melee skills for like this character, but for Occultist it's specifically sacrificial stab. So I kind of wish there were more blanket terms like this, but I understand. Between the two of these, I actually think Surgeon's better, but I think Surgeon kind of goes against what most people play Plague Doctor for, which is weird. The bonus healing is what people probably take her for, but a lot of people don't use Incision. They'd rather just, throw bombs. So they probably think Alchemist is better. Also, it has more numbers, but really these resists are just to offset the HP differential. So between the two of them, I actually think that Surgeon is better, but I like Alchemist more. So this is where it's kind of getting weird. The reason I like Alchemist more is because I like having the stun resist and I like Blight. That's as far as it goes. This one has the better stuff going on. Double damage Incision, healing skills, lower Blight chance. You're not using Blight at that point anyway, because you have Incision. And you can do other stuff like run Disorienting Blast, Vapors, Magnesium Rain. There's a lot of stuff you can do. And I really just like Alchemist. It's put Plague Doctor in rank 4, throw bombs. That's how I played her for the last like 6 years or whatever. So it feels like home. But I think Surgeon's better. Let's see what people are saying. Alchemist has the downside of maybe dying due to low health. Yes, that's true. So even if you have the resist differences to keep you offset from the HP, the fact that not every enemy does damage over time, or their meaningful damage isn't over time, means that you're always at risk. Specifically things like the Arbalest and the Tangle, the Sacrificial Fanatics. If you mess up and they go off, they can do a lot of damage. The cannon, if you don't have it in the right spot, can do damage to rank 4, which can hurt you. And there are plenty of other things, cripple them. There are a lot of attacks that hit rank 4 for solid damage. So you have to be careful. Surgeon, you just plop them in rank 3 and do 6 to 10 damage with +3 bleed on Incision. See? You can even stack damage trinkets and go Encore Jester to kill 1 or 2 enemies before they get a turn. That sounds kind of nice. Again, we're looking at all these things that almost turn characters into chop, right? Into leper damage. So I think that's pretty funny. This is a tough one. Alchemist is better at what PD is supposed to do. I mean, I understand the supposed to do part. But I mean, in this game, she's also a healer. So Surgeon kind of makes her also do what she's supposed to do. It's like they take both things and just split them in half, which is good. This is how pass should be, right? But those Incision hits of Surgeon are hella fun, and healing bonus is poggers. In the end, I'll vote Alchemist because the game still doesn't have good rank 4. See, this is pretty much where I'm at too. So I think Surgeon is better, but for the same reason, I forgot to mention it too. So I'm glad Rosen reminded us here. But another reason to use Alchemist is rank 4 character. Think you should explain what the past do in the future polls. So I think I said I was going to do that, and then I forgot to. So what ended up happening was I scheduled all of the polls in advance. Also, it's overcast outside, so I'm sorry if the lighting quality goes up and down. Like when the clouds blow by, all of a sudden it gets super dark. But yeah, so I scheduled all of the polls when I made the first one, so I just never came back and did them. So I apologize about that. But let's see. Who is next? It's Man-at-Arms. Going by the tabs. Very good. YouTube got this one right for the most part. There's some Sergeant votes, but let's take a look. So Bulwark, you get bonus HP, really good to have. Double damage riposte, so Retribution, and then double damage on Crush. Insane. Reverting the Crush nerf, we can no longer meme. And then minus dot res. I would much rather have more HP than dot res, which is why I don't really like Alchemist as much. For that reason, is you get the dot res, but that doesn't matter as much as the HP cut. It doesn't offset it like 1-to-1. This is arguably just better than having dot res, because, you know, when you're in an area, not every enemy is going to... No enemy does all three of these, right? At most, luckily, I don't even think they do... Some of them do too. Fanatics, I forgot about that. They're the Flare Fanatic can bleed and burn. So those are very niche scenarios. So you're never dealing with all three of these. And then Sergeant, minus damage. You're going to notice a trend. I don't like minus damage paths. And this is one of those. Move resist. Again, we said this doesn't matter. Bolster skills remove vulnerable and weaken. I think, on himself. Which I feel like Sergeant should do this anyway. Because it does it on the target. So if you use bolster on the target, it takes off their vulnerable and it takes off their weak. And I don't know why I don't know why bolster doesn't do that baseline for Man-at-Arms. It's really weird. And so the nice part about this though is being able to take off vulnerable means that whatever vuln tokens you have don't eat your block tokens, like, because they cancel out 1-to-1. So it doesn't eat your block tokens when you use defender or bolster, because I think bolster also gives a block. Pretty sure. But yeah. Allies on turn start, bonus chance, or 25% chance to give them resistances. This is cool, but it's not targeted, and it may not go off when you need it. So, not the best. Between the two, I like Bulwark just for the damage. Hit big numbers with Crush, hit big numbers with Retribution. Very straightforward to use, and good. Let's see. Bulwark is probably the best path across all heroes. Best maybe in terms of just being overpowered, I could see. I see Bulwark, I pick it, it carries me, or carries the run unless something goes horribly wrong. I don't know these class progressions, so I've been picking the name that I think is coolest. Sorry, no problem. Alright, have to disagree. Sergeant is handy, and what you call nerf never stopped him to shine. I mean, it's not that Sergeant can't do well. It's the fact that, same argument I made against Poet, where the game is a damage race and you're losing damage. So it's not as good. Maybe in future updates, the game meta will shift to more of a control type of thing, and then stuff like Sergeant and Poet get better. But as it stands right now, damage is the winner, and you should be doing damage. So I think that Bulwark is the better one. Get bonus damage and HP. Both those things are pretty good. Grave Robber's next. I'm glad this is contested because I feel the same way. I feel both these are really good. So Deadeye is bonus range damage, minus melee skills, 5 range crit, which is good because Grave Robber likes to crit. And then this move resist doesn't matter because she can move herself. So you can always pirouette if you get out of position or something like that. But the reason I like Deadeye is the same reason I was liking Sharpshooter, is because we don't have a lot of rank 4 dedicated characters. This is a rank 4 dedicated build. So it's very easy. You just put her in rank 4. You can even use flashing daggers and it's good. I don't... So you heard it here first. Deadeye with flashing daggers is great. So if you have like the range damage trinket, and Grave Robber also has personal trinket where if she crits, she has a 25% chance to get another turn. So you're just fishing for extra turns at that point. And so flashing daggers, it still needs a buff. Don't get it twisted. It still needs a buff. But with like Vuln or Strength and crits and Deadeye, you can have flashing daggers hitting for like 15. That's pretty good. So, and it's not even just that though. The Poison Darts damage is nice, and Throw Dagger actually becomes a respectable move. It can crit for like 20 damage and go past guard, and I believe dodge when you're stealth. So if you can set that up, it's pretty good too. Gushing. So Nightsworn, I like Nightsworn a lot too. Both of these are super fun to me to play for Grave Robber. Nightsworn, you lose HP. which does suck, but Grave Robber also has 2 heals built into herself, and she has access to dodge. So Grave Robber is pretty self-sustaining, but you still don't want the minus HP. But she can handle it better than most characters. If you're in stealth, you get bonus damage, 50%, and then lunge and pirouette get bonus 50% on top. So if you go into stealth, your lunge and pirouette are hitting for double damage. Otherwise, they're hitting for a bonus 50, and both of those are pretty good. So I like to play Dance Grave Robber in both DD1 and DD2. So being able to move her around to get actually good damage is pretty fun to do again. Between the 2 paths, I would say Deadeye is slightly better. For the reason that you get a rank 4 character, like I said before, but also it's easier to play. You just throw her in like rank 4, rank 3, and you just throw for the entire run. You don't have to think about anything. Nightsworn, you need to unlock shrines, which not everyone may have these. So you have to unlock lunge and pirouette from her hero shrine backstories, and Shadow Fade. If you want to get that, like all 3 of these things that she gets benefits from are all from her shrines. But also the other thing that people have trouble with is building dance teams. So they're not inherently that difficult, but they can be tricky, and they do require planning, and that just makes some people go, I'm not doing it. And you can tell too, because like if you look at people that make dance teams, like I see in DD Court a lot, people just go, yeah, I love making this dance team, or I have a lot of fun having my characters move around, stuff like that. And then some people just go, screw it, I'm never doing it. And I understand, but I think Deadeye's better, but like slightly. It's easier to use. It's easier to get full effectiveness from. But if you can get effectiveness from Nightsworn, like if you have General's Trophy where you're immobilized, like your whole party can't move, and you can lunge spam, this gets very strong. So they're both good. It's just this is harder to use. By this, I mean Nightsworn. So Nightsworn is better, but it relies on a dancing team for best results. Deadeye's easier to use, yes. I actually like both these paths a lot. However, Nightsworn should not be able to appear until you unlock all of her hero shrines, yes. And Deadeye feels more flexible overall. I would say I guess it is kind of flexible. If you want to go like throw dagger or darts, you can do both. I can definitely see that. But yeah, I think they both give you some options, but I think I know what they mean. So I'd probably like these paths as much as I like Plague Doctors if Red Hook would fix base Grave Robber. True. I know Grave Robber still needs buffs. Don't get it twisted. So, let's see. Seen a lot of the same people, so I'm glad y'all come to the comments to hang out. Deadeye's more consistent, can work in any party that needs a damage dealer in rank 3 or 4 without disrupting the party with dancing. However, Nightsworn is hella fun, true. Especially if you get a stealth cloak, allowing her to one-shot any single rank enemy with absurd numbers for a Grave Robber. So my vote goes to that. Good. But yeah, so honestly, Deadeye feels like that's how default Grave Robber should be without the melee nerf. I could see that. I think it's mainly for like the crit, like the high damage, consistent critting. I think that's what they're getting at. But yeah, with Nightsworn, just it releases the happy chemicals. Like you can do damage, you can gank stuff, you can gank cherubs on turn 1, which is really cool. And if you have access to consistent stealth, then it gets a lot better. And I guess since this comment's on screen, we'll read this too. Base range damage buff to Deadeye still doesn't make her worth picking over basic PD or Highwayman. Hard disagree. But of course, I am the Grave Robber fanboy. That's just what we're doing. All right, we got 3 more to go. So Jester, Virtuoso, and Soloist. I'm actually surprised these were this close. So Virtuoso, bonus HP. We like talking about that. That's good. At the cost of resistance, who cares? And then we get 3 speed on top of it. And then is this? It is. I was trying to read this the right way. This is stress immunity. 15% chance to allies, like a specific one or the whole party, like the other 3. I'm not sure. Pretty sure it's one person, but 15% chance for stress immunity. That's hot. Soloist, bonus damage, bonus bleed chance, bleed skills caught or have more crits, which is actually pretty nice. Harvest supremacy, and then we have max HP cut and speed. This is really bad. This is the reason I don't like Soloist, is you lose HP. Jester's already pretty fragile. He goes down to like 21 or 23 HP with this, which is really a dangerous health total. That is one shot range from some enemies, so you don't want to be there. And you lose the speed on top of it, so it's harder for him to get Fade to Black, set up early, or Razor's Wit dodge, set up early. It's really hard for him to protect himself. Or if you're going to use solo, because it's called Soloist. So if you're going to start with solo to give yourself dodge and try and survive stuff, you don't even get to do that. All at the chance or cost of being able to do a little more damage and some bleed chance. Is that worth it? I don't think so. And I see what they're doing here with the path. It feels like they're trying to make it so Jester has a big damage option, and since the speed is down, he has time to use solo to combo the enemy that he wants, and then your teammates have a turn to do vulnerable or give him strength or something and get them ready to do a bunch of damage. And so it doesn't usually work out that way. It can, but it usually doesn't. And so I believe a lot of people have said this, but I know Thick said it because we always talk about Thick here. But people have mentioned swapping these speeds, and I feel like that would be the right and easy way to fix this. Give Virtuoso -3 speed, give Solos +3, and I think they even out pretty well. Because right now, Virtuoso is effectively Jester plus. This is the same Jester playstyle with just bonuses. And a path shouldn't do that. A path should be like, it changes how you want to play the character. Tempest does the same thing. Tempest is like Leper plus. But otherwise, Ritualists and Warlock change how you play. Deadeye and Nightsworn change how you play. Rogue and Sharpshooter change how you play. Same with Plague Doctor. Man-at-Arms not really. Man-at-Arms both kind of do the same thing for him. But Bulwark is pretty much Man-at-Arms plus. But yeah, it shouldn't be that way. So Soloist, it can do really good damage. It's kind of risky. But if you like to do Finale or spam bleeds, this is the one you want. See what people are saying. Like both these paths, but Jester with the speed, debuff, and lower HP feels pretty punishing on a character with no self-heal, and his only defensive plays are Mastered Razor's Wit. Thank you for that nerf, Red Hook. I know they nerfed that before Fade to Black. That was really, really weird. Because Fade to Black was the stronger of the two moves. But they nerfed... I can see why you would nerf Razor's Wit instead, because you're guaranteed the dodge token, whereas the blind token can get resisted. So I understand that, but I really think they should nerf Fade to Black first. And simply moving himself to a spot where enemies can't reach. So, also those are his defenses. It's either giving himself dodge or just moving out of reach. Yes, definitely, that's right. Also, characters with lower HP suffer the most from dots. True. Part of the reason Alchemist is so good is they offset her lowered HP with higher res, or higher dot res. Since everything in this game heals by percentage, it's much easier to heal them with Virtuoso or Bulwark's higher HP pools than someone like Soloist. 100% right. Soloist looks good, but it's still the same bad Jester with even less HP. I don't think Jester's bad. I think Jester's actually the best character in this game. As it currently stands, I think Jester's the best character, but let's see what happens. The damage on that path needs to be at least plus 50. You know, that is kind of weird. Other people have like 50 or 100%, and Jester gets 30. It's because they don't want, like, they don't want 20, or no, it would be, what is it? Finale Mastered is 10 to 13, I think. So it'd be like 15 to 20 or something like that. 15 to 19 something. And I can see not wanting that because I can gank most things in the game without like Gargantuan or something. So I can see why they wouldn't want to buff it too much. But I mean, you can already set up turn 1 kills with Finale anyway. Let's see. So not taking him over default Highwayman. I mean, the stress heal is still there, but I get what you mean. Virtuoso does the same thing a normally supporting Jester does, but much better. It's faster, has more HP, an absurd stress buff that'll prevent dozens of stress over a single run. Yes, exactly right. Speed debuff really hurts for me. If it wasn't for that, I would take it more often. Oh, with Soloist, yes. So I think the consensus is pretty much there. You know, 3 people make a consensus, but If we swap the speed values, Soloist would get a lot better and more appealing. Oh boy. There's a reason this is like one of the last ones on Darkest Dungeons Discord. Why is this so close? Oh, chat, audience, people, YouTubers. Oh my god. Like, I can see this. We're agreeing on this. This was actually a pretty surprising disparity. This wasn't surprising. This wasn't surprising. This wasn't. This wasn't either. But what? What is this? Maybe people got it confused. But Ravager, bonus HP. We like that. In rank 1, 50% bonus damage. Minus bleed chance. Turn start, bleed yourself. You know, I'm gonna read the other one too before I get into it. So, Berserker, minus HP, plus death blow resist, plus bleed chance, bonus bleed crit. Alright. Ravager is far and away the better of these two. You have bonus HP, which is never bad. You have bonus damage up front. This is Howling End without upgrade, hits for 12 to 21 at this point, something like that, and goes through block. And you can do that in the valley. Minus bleed chance, you're not using bleed out up there, you're not using if it bleeds, doesn't even exist. Chance to bleed yourself, Hellion gets bonus damage at low HP. She can cure her own bleeds, and she's got more HP to deal with, so the bleed doesn't really matter as much. This is what I was saying with Virtuoso. This is Hellion Plus. If you just want better Hellion, you pick Ravager. If you want to change how you're playing, you pick Berserker. So, it's not that Berserker itself is bad. Berserker is actually pretty good. And it's all fine. Its issues are that if it bleeds sucks, and Howling End exists in its current iteration. If these two things were not happening, Berserker would be worth considering and the vote would be a lot closer, in my opinion. But with Berserker, you're not using if it bleeds when you're using this character. You are spamming bleed out. So the minus damage from being winded and stuff doesn't matter that much because all of your damage is coming from bleed anyway. So if you want to run something like Cause of Death with Plague Doctor, this is a good place to start. You get Berserker Hellion, and then you pick Plague Doctor, maybe Surgeon Petey, who knows, and then you just hit bleed out and stuff over and over, and then you hit Cause of Death for like 40 damage. I mean, that's my assumption anyway. So Berserker's honestly okay, it's just this is so much stronger with how the game operates. Alright. Berserker just does so little. I'll go to this fourth comment too, since I had it on screen. The extra bleed and crit chance on bleed out, and if it bleeds is fine, but that's nothing compared to her damage boost from Ravager. True. Actually, the first time I played Berserker, I tried to spam if it bleeds. So I mastered if it bleeds right away with my first point in the valley, and then I just spammed if it bleeds the whole time, and I ended up losing that run, and if it bleeds sucked. It felt so freaking bad to run it that way. The extra DBR is usually only useful in the first regions, since your positive relationships put you at 90% DBR anyway. True. I mean, it can help later on if people start dying. It can help there, but I definitely agree with the sentiment. I feel like the minus 33% HP from Berserker and the plus 33% from Ravager should be swapped. That would be good. Because you gotta think about it, like Berserkers don't... The whole thing is you just lose yourself in fighting, so you shouldn't feel pain as much. So you should have more HP, not less. That's my view anyway. Make Ravager the high risk, high reward playstyle. Yes. Berserker the tank that just watches while the enemies bleed to death. Yes. I mean, having more HP on Berserker would really give you a control style. So you'd have the damage over time, you can control when people are dying a lot easier, and then heal yourself and stall if you need to. That kind of stuff. Howling End, toe-to-toe, Howling End, toe-to-toe, Howling End, toe-to-toe, Howling End, Adrenaline Rush, Howling End, toe-to-toe. Yes. Ravager makes Howling End plus toe-to-toe combo more broken than it already is. Yes. Considering Hellions bleed skills are useless, I'll go with Ravager. Bleed out's actually okay, in my opinion, but I mean, why press bleed out when you can press Hellion? Run away from the pain. If you couldn't tell, I like Ravager and I don't care too much about Berserker. All right. So, Runaway, this is our last character. Survivor. Bonus healing given. Bonus healing over time given. That's from Run and Hide Plus. That's the only thing she has for it, I believe. And then combat start, 2 dodge, and 1 speed. No downsides. Arsonist. 33% burn crit chance, or burn chance. And then 25% burn causing skills crit by 10. That's a weird way to say that. So 10% crit chance on burn attacks, 33% burn chance, minus 33% damage flat. This does not offset this. The minus damage, this is not offset by these. So if you can already tell which one I like over which one I don't, that should be your precursor. Turn start, chance to bleed yourself. I don't think she can resist this either. And last time I played Arsonist, I had Runaway, burn herself 3 times in 3 turns, and she was taking 6 a turn. So, no, it'd be 9 a turn at that point. But like, it would fall off too in between, but you get what I'm saying. So between these two, I think Survivor is just better. There's no downsides, and the healing is nice, but kind of unimportant. The reason I like Survivor so much is because you start the fight with 2 dodge and 1 speed. And being able to start the fight, because every single fight in the game sees turn 1. Some may end by turn 2, but every single fight will see turn 1. And starting with defenses is really, really good, especially if enemies get hastened or something and they outspeed you. So that's why I like Survivor. And then you get to pick what you're doing first next round, which is really good. Arsonist, as I was saying, the minus damage doesn't cover for the bonus damage and the bonus proc chance. It just doesn't. And so you're stuck using like Dragonfly, which is really good, and Firefly, and to a lesser extent, Searing Strike. Your damage already isn't that good, and you're getting like a little more burn and some crit chance here and there at the cost of burning yourself to death potentially. It's not that hyperbolic, but you know, I mean, it's Darkest Dungeon. Like, that burn's gonna show up at the worst time. You're gonna be on death's door, turn start, burning. You're like, oh great, thanks game. So I don't think this is even close personally. Arsonist just doesn't have enough upside to me for as much penalty as it has. Thankfully, no HP down. But this is effectively like HP down in a different form. Survivalist Bonnie, getting all those buffs and no downsides, pretty much Red Hook telling on themselves with how bad Runaway is compared to other characters. No, maybe. I don't know. I feel like in a way too, it could just be them realizing that the character getting these things won't really offset her power level too much, but it'll give her some utility. Maybe that's what they're thinking. I don't know. Arsonist also needs to lower the self-inflicted burn chance, unlike Ravager Hellion, because Bonnie's self-heal sucks. Yes, true. And it's locked behind Mastery. Is it? Are we talking about Cauterize? Or is it Run and Hide? She starts with Run and Hide, right? I can't remember. But it's probably Cauterize that they're referring to. And the only person able to cure her burn dot is Plague Doctor. Yes, so you either need Plague Doctor or an item. In a road fight, Bad RNG can stack a burn to 9 on her before round 4. Yes, which makes a character who already has a hard time not dying easier to kill. They knew to make a Cultist Uncheck power do only 1 tick of burn. Why the damage nerf and 3 tick per burn on top of it? I don't know. But hopefully they address it. Also, as an aside, does anyone know if Backdraft is affected by Arsonist damage nerf? I actually don't know. I don't know. Runaway's kind of decent in a Cause of Death team. Yeah, because she can stack up burn really quickly. But I only pick her if the Occultist quirks paths suck hard. You can run Occultist and Runaway together. They're pretty good, I think. But anyway, Arsonist is just Runaway on steroids, and Survivalist is okay. So usually I've been agreeing with a lot of the comments. I actually kind of feel the other way. I feel like Survivalist is like Runaway Plus. It's just Runaway with defenses on turn 1. And then Arsonist, I can't even call it Runaway Plus though, actually. It's just slightly better Runaway. And then Arsonist has a lot of things, but it's actually just not worth it to me. Bonuses of Arsonist Helper inflict potentially stronger due to the crit burns more reliably. People thinking this means anything at all, missing the fact that crits only increase the duration of dots and not the magnitude, and that the damage nerf means Backdraft is actually weaker without a crit buff and equal to default without a crits. I don't use Backdraft, so I'm not quite sure what this is getting at. In conclusion, giving a default runaway a lantern will have the same effect. Oh, that's the burn chance lantern. Yeah, so that's a really good reason to talk about Arsonist not being that good. Because you can just get a burn chance trinket, and then you have the same character that doesn't burn themselves, essentially. So why spend a path when you can spend a trinket slot? Meanwhile, Survivalist gives nothing but upsides to a hero that's relegated as an offensive support dot tier or dot character. She gets no offense bonuses, but as explained above, Arsonist bonuses are bad due to how dots work, and they work against themselves. I really don't know why people predominantly picked Arsonist here. The path is just bad in relation to how the game works in general. I mean, people are going to have their opinions, so I'm not going to fault them for that, but I definitely don't like Arsonist compared to a Survivor. The extra burn chance from Arsonist is always nice, and crits helps sticking even more burn stacks, giving the possibility of using Backdraft decently. Or the hope too. Yeah, definitely the hope. The glimmer of hope. I'm not sure if Firestarter uses her bonuses. I don't believe so. I think it's just like a flat 100. But if it does, it'd be so cool. That would be nice, huh? They gave extra crit chance to allies. Oh, the Arsonist, I see. No, I don't think it does that, but that would be cool. So, I'm sorry for stretching and stuff like that. I'm really tired right now. Might not be able to tell, but it's been a long week. So Survivalist gets dodge, and it feels very nice having that extra protection from the start. Speed also helps when setting up. Yes, it does. Besides giving massive heals from time to time, this is what feels mostly right to me. It's safe and consistent. True. Since neither really affects Runaway's other functions, it feels underwhelming and kind of meh. Honestly. Dots are nice, but I'm mostly using her for Smokescreen and Firestarter. Yeah? For me, Survivalist feels much better given the fact that I'm already setting up for somebody else. That's an excellent point. Runaway is a really good setup character, so using her for damage, like she can do damage, but her damage isn't great. That's the main reason she's not a great character, is that the game is so damage focused and she can't reach big levels of damage compared to other people. Like Occultist can just do crit 24 sacrificial stab with Ritualists, so why run Runaway at all? Alright. So, that's the video. Really good stuff. This is on my community tab. If anyone ever wants to look, you just go to my channel, and then you hit subscribe, and then you like this video, and then you go back to my channel homepage, and then you go to community. That's how you get here. It's the secret tech. But you do that, and you can look at these for yourself and read all the comments. So thank you to everyone that commented. I'm sorry I didn't get to read all of them. Otherwise, this video would have been like 3 hours. So, well, maybe like 2. But I digress. Good stuff. Looking forward to doing this more when we get more paths and more heroes. Probably gonna wait till we get maybe like 2 heroes or get to release or something like that. Then we'll talk about it again. We'll see. But yeah, really fun stuff. Thank you to everyone for participating. And those are my thoughts. Those are everyone's thoughts, apparently. And we will be back with more content soon. I don't know what we're doing, dude. You're already at the end of the video. Just watch the outro.